Minh was a senior studying information technology at a university in Saigon. His hometown was a small commune at the foot of Chu Pa Mountain in Gia. In recent years, Minh rarely returned home, only during Tet or his father's death anniversary. Since childhood, he'd lived with his mother and Aunt Ba, a strange woman whom most relatives avoided due to her heavy aura. Aunt Ba was unmarried, childless, and lived quietly in a wooden house halfway up the Da Na Pass, a winding mountain pass surrounded by decades of eerie wartime rumors. This Tet, Minh returned home earlier than usual. His mother picked him up at the bus station and took him straight to Aunt Ba's house. While driving, she spoke slowly. "Stay at Aunt Ba's house tonight. Then come home tomorrow. She's been having dreams of a stranger standing at her door. She said you should come back to calm the energy." Minh chuckled, resting his chin on his hand. "Come on, Mom, I'm a guy. How could I calm any energy? Besides, her house is halfway up the pass. Maybe someone just got lost." "It's not that," she replied. "Aunt Ba said the person faces backward. You can't see their face. And they appear at exactly 3 a.m. every time." Minh paused for a second. He knew Aunt Ba wasn't the type to make things up. She lived near the forest, had no internet, no phone, and didn't entertain strangers. Whatever she saw, if she did see something, was likely something she shouldn't have seen. Dusk had just fallen when their vehicle stopped in front of the old wooden house. The surroundings were eerily silent, pierced only by the wind howling through the trees and the damp scent of forest leaves. Aunt Ba sat on the front step, holding a half-burnt incense stick. Her wrinkled face looked just as Minh remembered it as a child, except now. Her eyes were deeply sunken and shadowed. She looked at him and rasped, "It's good you came. Tonight you'll sleep in the ancestor room. Don't go outside, understand?" Minh set down his backpack, puzzled. "But there's no bed in that room, Auntie, and I thought it only had the old photos of our ancestors?" Aunt Ba didn't answer right away. She stuck the incense into the ground near the courtyard, then finally said, "There's someone else now, since 3 nights ago." Minh shivered but kept his composure. "You mean, another photo? Who is it, Auntie?" Aunt Ba stared into his eyes. "No one knows. No one put it there. But she came on her own. Last night, I clearly heard 3 knocks on the ancestor room door. When I opened it, the photo was already on the altar. It's blurry, but you can see her face. It's a girl." Minh stood frozen. He didn't speak. He wasn't smiling anymore. Aunt Ba pulled him into the house without another word. The air felt thick, almost frozen. That night, after a silent dinner, Minh entered the ancestor room alone. A dim oil lamp cast yellow shadows of the framed photos on the wall. Grandparents, deceased uncles and aunts, and a new photo, one that hadn't been there before. It was a picture of a young woman. Round face, long hair, wearing a white blouse, but the image was blurry, as if covered in fog. Minh stepped closer, intending to touch the glass frame. Suddenly, the eyes in the photo seemed to look directly into his. He pulled his hand back, heart pounding. Outside, the wind howled under the eaves. Aunt Ba's voice echoed from another room. "Remember, Minh, tonight, no matter what you hear, do not open the door." Minh softly replied, "Yes, Auntie." He sat down on a mat, leaning against the wooden wall, still glancing at that photo. 3 a.m., how much longer? Minh woke in the middle of the night, unsure when he dozed off. The oil lamp still flickered. Shadows from the framed photos danced on the wooden wall. The silence was almost unnatural, like the house had been cut off from the rest of the world. He reached for his phone and turned it on. 2:57 a.m. Just a few more minutes. Minh sat up, his heartbeat quickening by the second. Outside the room, the wind still blew steadily. No footsteps, no knocking. And then, 3 soft knocks. Knock, knock, knock. Not loud, not rushed, but unmistakably knocks on the door. Minh looked toward the wooden door. His hand instinctively clenched. The visitor would knock 3 times. If you respond, they'll enter. If you stay silent, they'll return another night. Aunt Ba once told him that. He took a deep breath, trying to steady his breathing. Silence. No reaction. Just wait for the sound to fade into the wind. But this time, there were no retreating footsteps after the knocks. Instead, a girl's voice, light as a whisper, came from beyond the door. Minh. His blood ran cold. That name, only his mother, Aunt Ba, and a few villagers used it. But this voice, he had never heard it before. So soft, so clear, so distant. Minh, open the door for me? He stayed frozen, back pressed against the wall, hands trembling. The voice returned, barely more than a breath. I'm cold, just open it for a moment. And then, silence. Minh glanced at the altar. The photo of the girl was gone. Only an empty frame remained, its glass reflecting the dim lamp light. He stiffened, eyes darting around the room. The air felt heavier, as if something, or someone, had just passed through. Outside, the wind continued, but deep down, Minh knew something had entered. The next morning, Minh awoke groggy, his head pounding. Aunt Ba was already up, making tea on the front porch. Minh stepped out, sat beside her, voice raspy. Aunt Ba, someone called me last night. She didn't look at him, only nodded slightly. I know, I heard it too, but that wasn't her first time. Minh blinked in confusion. Her? Aunt Ba poured the tea. Her voice even. The girl in the photo. She's not one of us. She died 6 years ago. No one knows her name. No one honors her. Her body lies at the edge of the forest near the Dana cliff. Buried hastily. But now, she's placed herself on our altar. A chill ran down Minh's spine. He stammered. But how does she know my name? Why did she come at 3 a.m.? Aunt Ba looked him straight in the eyes. Her voice slow and clear. Because she chose you as her husband. You are the bond. This bond wasn't chosen by you. She chose it. Minh couldn't speak. His heartbeat stumbled. Aunt Ba's gaze never left his face. From now on, my boy, don't wear white at dusk. Don't look into mirrors after midnight. And above all, when you hear a knock, do not open the door, even if the voice sounds familiar. That morning, Minh left Aunt Ba's house and returned to his mother's home at the mountain's foot. On the way back, his mind was clouded with questions. Why me? How did she know my name? Why did she call it fate? All day, Minh couldn't eat a thing. That night, lying in his childhood room, his eyes stared at the ceiling. Old memories drifted back, vague but vivid. When Minh was in 9th grade, he once followed his mother to visit ancestral graves deep in the forest. On the way home, a heavy rain fell. They were forced to take shelter in an old, abandoned hut along the Dana Pass. While his mother lit a fire to dry their clothes, Minh leaned against a pillar and dozed off. And he had a strange dream. In that dream, he saw a girl with long hair standing in the middle of a foggy road. She never turned around, but her voice drifted toward him, soft and clear. I'll wait. If you walk by and don't look back, I'll follow you. Minh woke just as the rain eased. He never told his mother. He thought it was just a childish dream. But now that he thought about it, the voice in his dream was exactly the same as the one that called to him the night before. Minh gripped his blanket tightly, sweat beading on his skin despite the chilly air. He told himself, no way, a dream alone couldn't turn into a spiritual bond. But the next morning, all his doubts vanished, because as he walked past his mother's room, he saw her sitting with a strange man, dressed like a spiritual master. Hair gray but eyes still sharp. The man looked at Minh and asked immediately, is this Minh? He's the one tied to the bond? Minh froze in the doorway. His mother nodded, holding a stack of spirit money. Inside, Aunt Ba called me down. She said, if we don't perform a severance ritual soon, Minh will be taken. The spiritual master frowned, his tone heavy. It won't be easy. This isn't a vengeful spirit, or a hungry ghost. This is a conscious soul. She's chosen her person. She's already attached herself. Minh stepped back. So, you mean it can't be broken? The master looked at Minh for a long moment, then spoke slowly. It can be severed, but you must know when to open the door, and when to keep it shut. Minh furrowed his brow. What do you mean by that? The master didn't answer directly. Instead, He handed Minh a red thread with a cloudy jade piece tied at the end, cold as spring water from a mountain stream. Wear this. If you hear a voice calling at night and the jade heats up, it's human. If it stays cold, it's from the other side. And remember this. If it calls your real name, you must call back with a name that was never given. Minh blinked, confused. A name never given? The master gave a faint smile. If you call her by her real name, she'll show herself. But if you call the wrong one, she'll be angry. That night, Minh lay alone in his room. The red thread glinted around his neck. Around 2:50 a.m., he noticed the wind felt colder than usual. Though the room was sealed, the curtains stirred, and the nightlight dimmed as if someone were blocking it. Then, 3 knocks. Again, Minh sat upright. No one in the house could be knocking at this hour. He gripped the jade. Cold like mountain rain just touched his wrist. A girl's voice came through the door. Minh, open the door for me. This time, I brought the wedding gifts. His throat clenched. Every hair on his neck stood up. That voice, it was exactly like the one in his old dream. And then, what made Minh freeze in horror? The red thread around his neck tugged gently, as if someone was pulling on it. Minh didn't sleep that night. He sat upright on the bed until sunrise, clutching the jade stone, now cold as glacier ice. Every time he closed his eyes, her voice echoed again. I brought the wedding gifts. The next morning, Minh rode his bike alone up the pass. When his mother asked where he was going, he simply said, I want to find the old shelter we stayed in that rainy day. That wooden shack, maybe that's where it all began. The January mountain wind was crisp. The Tana Pass still wound like an ancient serpent, wrapped in thick pine forests. Each bend led to another quiet, forgotten world. At last, he stopped before a sunken patch of land, where 2 wild sim bushes grew close together, embracing a mossy old brick foundation. This was the spot where his mother once took shelter from the rain. Minh stepped off his bike and pushed aside the weeds. The wooden shelter had long rotted. Only a few decayed posts and damp earth remained. But in the middle of the ground, he found a faded red cloth, pinned by stones. Lifting it, he uncovered a small collapsed patch of earth, with a burned incense bundle and a piece of wood crudely carved. You're back, marry me. Just below that, were markings like letters, scratched with something sharp. Dried red. Blood. Minh felt a chill run up his spine. Breath stolen from his lungs. He had no idea who carved that message. No one had ever mentioned a grave here. No marker. No name. No date. Only a plea. Marry me. A gust of wind blew against his back. The red thread around his neck trembled slightly. Minh stood up, looked around, and called out loudly. Who are you? Are you the one I saw in my dream? No answer. Only the rustling of dry leaves, like footsteps in the brush. A shiver ran down his spine. He knelt and whispered a prayer. If you're a restless soul, if there truly was some bond between us, please let me know clearly. Don't pull me anymore. I'm not ready. As he rose, he glanced down at the wood again. Now, below the bloodied writing, a new line had appeared, freshly etched, like it was just carved. Ready or not, you're already my husband. That night, Minh collapsed into bed with a fever. His body burned with heat, while the jade around his neck was cold as a buried stone. At midnight, he heard knocking again, but this time, it wasn't from the door. It came from under the bed. Knock, knock, knock. Then a soft voice, whispering right by his ear. I'm back, Minh. Minh squeezed his eyes shut, clutched the jade, but it was no longer cold. It was hot, scorching hot. He remembered the master's words. If the jade is hot, it's human. If cold, it's spirit. Human? Who could be under my bed at midnight? He summoned all his courage and asked quietly. Who's down there? A pale hand reached out from beneath the bed and gently touched the mattress beside him. Then the voice again, pleading. Minh, marry me. Minh sat still. He didn't scream. He didn't run. He just clutched the burning red jade tighter. Was it human or spirit? A dream or real? A past unresolved or a cursed bond yet repaid? He shut his eyes, willing away the sensation of that hand on the bed. Wind swirled in through the window. The lingering scent of incense from Aunt Ba's altar drifted on the breeze. Minh drifted into sleep near dawn. In a half-conscious dream, he found himself standing in a coffee field, the branches dark after rain, red soil clinging to his worn shoes. He wore an old military uniform, holding a square folded letter with trembling handwriting. "I'll wait for you. Whether it's this year or next. Just come back." From afar, a girl in a white ao-dai, wearing a conical hat and holding a bouquet of purple sim flowers, walked slowly toward him. The breeze lifted her hair gently. That face, it was the same as the one in the altar photo. She looked up, eyes glistening, a soft smile on her lips. "You came back?" Minh stepped back. "No, I'm not the one you waited for." The girl stood still, gripping her flowers, her voice like dew. "You promised, but you never came back." The world tilted, rain fell, winds whipped like a storm. The girl remained on the hill, raising her hand as if to reach for someone walking away. "I waited 3 years. Even when my body grew cold, no one knew my name." Minh's chest tightened. He realized he had dreamed this place before, but never heard her voice so clearly. A sorrow welled up, both strange and familiar. She reached toward his chest. "Where the red jade hung. If not in this life, then give me one night. One night, to be your wife." Minh jolted awake, soaked in sweat. Morning light flooded the room. No one else was there. But under the mattress, he found a bouquet of purple sim flowers, still wet with dew. That afternoon, Minh returned to Aunt Ba's house. Free. Aunt Ba was drying incense on the porch when she saw Minh, but she said nothing. He walked up and placed the bouquet of purple sim flowers on the table. "Auntie, she's not a ghost. And she's not human either. She's a memory that hasn't been let go." Aunt Ba looked at the flowers and sighed. "You dreamed again, didn't you? But dreams for someone bound by fate are memories from both sides." Minh nodded slightly. "She's waited for me, from a past life. Among the sim trees, on the slopes of Tana Pass." Aunt Ba poured tea, her eyes sunken deep. "Some souls don't need offerings. They just want to be called by name, to be remembered. Then, they find peace on their own." Minh asked softly, "If I want to help her, what should I do?" Aunt Ba replied slowly, "Find her real name. Call it out in prayer before sunrise. If you call it right, she'll let go. If you call it wrong, you'll go with her." The next morning, Minh went down to the village at the foot of the pass to visit old Mr. Nam Du, the oldest man in the area. He had once been a forest guard, grave digger, and spirit handler for decades. People said he personally buried 3 unidentified flood victims years ago. One of them a young girl in a white ao-dai. Minh found him sweeping the temple yard, hands trembling but eyes still clear. His voice was hoarse but firm. "I know you. You're the one tied to the girl from the pass, right?" Minh nodded gently. "Yes, Uncle Nam. Back then, did you bury a girl near that old wooden shelter, close to the sim bushes?" Mr. Nam leaned on his broom and sat on the stone steps, nodding. "Yes. She was washed up by the flood. Face still whole, hair still smelled like lemon. We were afraid, so we held a small ceremony and buried her behind the sim bushes for peace. No one claimed the body. No one remembered her name." Minh fell silent. Mr. Nam pulled a small, worn thread from his pocket, with a faded piece of floral cloth attached. "I took this from her wrist during the funeral rites. A schoolgirl's handkerchief. There was a small embroidered letter, but it was too faint at the time." Minh leaned in close to examine the now yellowed fabric. The morning sun hid just right, revealing a single hair-thin stitch. So thin, but still readable. Just one letter. Minh asked. "Nothing else, Uncle? No full name or clues?" Mr. Nam thought for a moment, then shook his head. "No, but I remember before we wrapped her. She moved her hand. She was freshly drowned. Maybe she hadn't fully died when she was buried. It's haunted me for years. Even when her eyes closed, tears still clung to the corners." Minh shivered. Mr. Nam pressed the handkerchief into his hand. "Take it. If she chose you, then only you can help her move on. That night, Minh returned to the old room. He placed the fabric under the lamp. Heart heavy. One letter, one memory, one life. At exactly 2:50 a.m., the red jade turned cold as stream water. The curtains fluttered. Then, the knocking began again. Knock, knock, knock. But this time, it wasn't from the door. Not from under the bed. It came from inside the wardrobe. Minh stood up, heart racing. Step by step, he approached and placed his hand on the knob. A girl's voice whispered right by his ear. Say my name. Minh swallowed. His breath caught in his throat. Then he whispered, so softly only the one behind the door could hear. Twee. Silence. No response. The wind died. The light went out. A chill shot down his spine. Then, that's not it. Her voice was softer, but heavier, more sorrowful, more disappointed, and more dangerous. You don't remember anything. Then, how should I help you remember? The wardrobe flung open. A pale hand yanked Minh into the darkness. Everything went black. Wind howled around his ears. It felt like falling, endlessly, into a bottomless pit. Then, Minh opened his eyes. He was standing in a vast field of blooming sim flowers. Damp with dew, their faint, earthy scent drifting in the air. He wore a faded military uniform. Canvas shoes on his feet. His shirt was dusty. In his hand was a hastily written letter. Trembling script barely legible. A girl's voice came from behind him. Please don't go again. Stay with me, just for one night. Minh turned. There she was, just a few steps away, long hair down her back, holding a half-wilted bouquet of sim flowers. Her face was shadowed in the twilight, but her eyes still glowed with patient longing. Minh backed away, voice trembling. Who are you? What's your name? She didn't answer right away. She stepped forward and pulled out a white handkerchief from her sleeve, identical to the one with the embroidered th. Then she softly said, Thuck. Minh froze. You're Thuck? She nodded. You once met me here, didn't you? That night, you were lost. I sheltered you from the rain, helped dry your clothes, and I took you back to the village. Minh struggled to remember, and then suddenly, memories surfaced. Blurry, but undeniable. There was a night, years ago, when Minh was in his early 20s. During a field trip in GLI, his vehicle broke down in the forest. Storm rolled in. He found a small wooden shack, and a girl had helped him return to the village by bicycle. He thought she was just a local. But when he looked back, she was gone. He'd assumed he imagined her. But now, she stood before him, real as the soil beneath them. She reached out her hand gently. You promised, if you had the chance, you'd return. 1 year, then 2, then 6. I waited until I forgot if I was human or spirit. Minh's voice cracked. I'm sorry. I forgot. I really did. The girl lowered her head, tears falling onto the sim leaves. It's okay. I ask just one thing. If you remember, say my name 3 times. Say it right, and I'll go. Say it wrong, and I'll stay forever. Minh's hands trembled as he clutched the handkerchief. Looking into her eyes, he whispered, Thuck, thuck, thuck. She closed her eyes. The wind stopped. The sim petals fell. Then, she smiled, the softest smile Minh had ever seen. Thank you. Her body began to fade, dissolving into the mist of the mountain dawn. No anger, no blame, only the light scent of sunshine after rain. Minh jolted awake. It was morning. He was back in his room. The red jade had broken in half, lying silently on the mattress. The wardrobe door, slightly ajar. No more knocking. No one called his name at 3 a.m. And on his desk, someone had quietly placed a fresh bouquet of sim flowers. That morning, Minh said nothing to his mother. He carefully folded the embroidered handkerchief, the still fresh bouquet, and the broken jade into a piece of white cloth. Then he biked slowly back to the old spot on the pass. The winding road had etched itself into his memory like a daily ritual. Except today, there was no howling wind, no eerie scent, only morning sun, filtering gently through the treetops onto his shoulders. Minh reached the clearing with the twin sim bushes. The soil still bore the marks from the last time he dug. He knelt down, spread the cloth, laid the handkerchief, the bouquet, and lastly, crossed the two broken halves of the jade, like a closing symbol. He lit incense. No long prayers. Just a bow, and a whisper. I came back, this time, to say goodbye. A gentle breeze passed through. The sim leaves trembled, murmuring something only the mountain could hear. Minh bowed low, then gently covered the offerings with soil. No grave, no stone, only a hand-sized rock, etched faintly with the name, Thuk. In the end, he sat there for a long time. No more words, just breath, and silence, peaceful for the first time in many months. That night, Minh returned home. Aunt Ba dropped by, saw him calmly brewing tea at his desk. She sat down and asked softly, "Is it settled?" Minh nodded. "It is. No more knocking. No more names called." Aunt Ba exhaled, relieved. "That's good. Some spirits just need to be remembered. To be called by their real name, and then they can leave." Minh said nothing more. He simply gazed out into the backyard, where the new moon had just risen above the bamboo grove. As he stood and walked toward his room, Minh suddenly paused. On his bookshelf sat a small photo. The same photo of the girl from his dreams, but now it was faded halfway. He picked it up. On the back, in faint ink, were the words, "Thank you for remembering me." He held the frame gently, then set it down and walked away. His eyes carried something unspoken, a quiet sorrow, tender and at peace. That year, summer came late. The coffee trees behind the house began to bloom, white and fragrant in the night. Minh returned to his old life, teaching, tending the garden, sometimes biking past the old mountain pass. No more surprise bouquets on his desk. No more knocks at night. No more blurred dreams trapped between realms. Only sometimes, he found himself standing at that patch of earth by the pass, watching the sim flowers bloom after rain, and wondered, could she still be watching him, even if only in a gentle breeze? Near the end of July, it rained for 3 days straight. That evening, when his mother returned from the temple, she handed Minh a small paper bundle. "Someone left this at the gate. No name. Maybe an old student sent you something." Minh took it. The package was tied with gray cloth, a drop of rain soaking the edge, but it wasn't heavy. He opened it. Inside was a brand new handkerchief. White cloth, red embroidery, 3 clear words, "Still me." Minh's heart clenched for a moment. He gripped the handkerchief tightly, then let it go. The room's light flickered faintly, like someone had just walked by. Wind slipped through the window, stirring the curtain. Minh slowly walked to his desk and sat down. He wasn't afraid. He wasn't confused. Just softly, quietly, as if talking to himself. "If it's really you, then don't be sad anymore. I remember you now." Outside, the rain had stopped. The moon rose behind the mountain ridge. On the windowsill, a long water streak remained, like the mark of a hand once gently placed there. As a final goodbye,